Good morning. I'm so excited to be with you today for brand partner training. My name is Terri Miller. My husband David and I have been fortunate enough to be with Lifeway for about 16 months. Oh my gosh, just having a blast, having so much fun. And these Saturday morning brand partner trainings are so important. There are ones that are going to give you very, very clear, simple detail of step-by-step detail. And then there's also ones that are going to give you a variety of specific trainings and those types of things. But this morning, I am super excited because I have 4 SPDs on the line with us today. And what's going to go on today is we're going to share with you real life, real experience, real people, real families, real careers of very diverse people of how they chose to get this amazing technology out to the world. So I hope that the real experience is very, very helpful to you. Before we get started on that, I wanted to share with you just a little reminder of how where you can find the actual brand partner training that is so helpful. So in school, have you guys all signed up for school, SKOOL, and you can get there by championmakers.com. And for sure, sign up for the auto text that gives you all the reminders and the links. How amazing is that? Then you have it right there available and accessible. And the other thing that you want is to log into school. And so school is a community, and it also has amazing classrooms. And so what we love about this is it's all here. So some variety of things before you start, new basic trainings. But one of the things that you're going to find is let's see, where is it? The brand partner training. Did I already pass it? Just a second. Let me see. So, basic training. Here in this part of the basic training, there is a variety of phenomenal basic trainings. My favorite right now, and they constantly change, is one that Danny did with Donnie Anderson. It is phenomenal. And another one that Diane did with Penny. But they're all very good. But today's is going to be a little unique. That was really more the part that I wanted to share with you. And I just kind of wanted to, talk a moment about the choices that we get when you choose to add into your life a business or a career like that. So David and I have been in this industry for 39 years. Well, the first 17 was me, but David says when a spouse is part of it, then the whole family's part of it. I was with Mary Kay. For some reason, he just wouldn't do that business with me. But anyway, but in reality, the thing that David and I really look at is our life is our business. Our business isn't our business. And this week, our son's 40th birthday was a couple weeks ago, and the gift that he wanted was a trip to Legoland with his 3 little children and us. So it was such an amazing treat. And if you, I'm not doing an advertisement for Legoland, but let me tell you, if you have littles, you definitely want to take them there. The love, the creativity, the fun, the healthy foods even is so much fun. So we got to come to Legoland with them. With the diversity, I did a share call and 2 patch launch calls while I was there too. So the diversity is awesome, to be able to put your family first and what is a priority to you first, to be able to afford that gift. Like, so those are some of the things that I wanted to talk to you about. And that's what some of the guest speakers are going to be sharing. But I wanted to just show you just a couple slides, and then I'm going to have our guest speakers. So the, so today's is the basic brand partner training. And again, there's so many that have really, really, really specific details. But what I really want to remind you, they're all coming. I am actually at a hotel, and by the way, the hotel was so accommodating. We got in at 1 o'clock in the morning, flights got canceled and debacled, but agility is the desired outcome. I had made a commitment to do this training today, and it's just, the hotel was amazing. So I'm in the one of the office rooms, but there's several people out there that I was able to talk to that really needs and wants this technology. But you know what? They're all coming. And if you really, really, really understand and believe in this technology, you'll talk to anywhere, anytime, any place. And getting structured and organized of how to make sure you can get the information to them and how to follow up is so important. But what we have in our hands with this amazing technology, just let alone the technology alone, is unbelievable. I'll be sharing a little bit more of my story, but I have so much gratitude. I had very serious, complicated long COVID problems that were not getting better. And I have so much gratitude for Candy and Casey that they reached out and reached out and reached out. And finally, I answered. And so she didn't take it personally. She loves me. And she continued to reach out. Game changer in my health situation. And then we chose to take a look at the opportunity. We were for sure, this is a couple things, little key points that I want to have you think about with these real life experiences that maybe you have interacted with other people, or maybe you're getting in your head with thoughts, because we were 100%, no, I'm going to go 200%, not going to do another direct selling company. Okay. So, but we were traveling through Europe, and I had the X39 on my wrist, and I ended up speaking with a couple doctors, a psychologist and a cardiologist. And they were like, what is that? I want some of that. Let's get this on my body. And I thought, okay, what is God trying to tell me? So then we became open. And what we did learn, is some amazing things about the company, is that the company is a 20-year-old company. It went, when the X39 was introduced and Steve and Gina Merritt, the This Is It team, came in, the company went from a $20 million company to a $600 million company, which, if you're not business minded and that those numbers don't mean anything to you, what it meant to me is this technology is getting out to the world. It's in 80 plus countries. And I thought, I'm getting into this, into this company. And because it works for everybody all of the time. And so so that made me start evaluating. But before we go a little bit further, I really want to make sure that we do a full disclaimer here. You're going to hear some real life, real experiences on the health side, the stem cell side, and their real life, their family life, their business, the work ethics, how many people they've sponsored, the income they're making. And we want to make sure that we're really, that that we have a safe disclaimer to protect our company. So there is, the other thing, the number one thing for me, I have to tell you, actually, there were two things for me, is I didn't want a Me Too product. I wanted to be part of a blue ocean product. And what that is, a blue ocean product is something that the rest of the world doesn't have. Red ocean is, there's a lot of it going out. There's a lot of fighting, blood in the water, that type of thing. But I wanted to be with something that was unique. And this technology is patented. Oh, good golly. Like, I had never even thought about being part of a direct selling company that had a patented product. And if you don't know what patents are, they're 20 years. We were 4 years and 3 years in to a patent product when we started. So with those types of things, we're like, we will jump in and do it. It is, regenerative wellness is the fastest growing industry in the world. People want to figure out how to help their body heal themselves and get away from big pharma. And so when we had the ability to jump into that, we decided to jump in. And once, so I'll share just a couple little things, and then I'm going to have some of my friends share. Is when I understood, I did my homework. I went to thisisit.info.com, did all my homework, hours of homework, and I went to YouTube, and I went to multiple other places and did a lot of homework. And then I almost felt like I had a moral, social obligation to share with people I love. So before our patches even arrived, 9 of my family members and friends were patches were on the way. And I didn't say how it works or whatever for me, because I didn't even have the patches on my body yet. It did not matter how it worked for me. It mattered that they wanted to wake up their stem cells and they understood what it was. The reason David Schmidt chose a direct selling company is because of the speed of trust. And the reason they were comfortable placing their order and setting themselves up is because they trusted me. They knew, first of all, I used Candy and Casey because they knew if Candy and Casey did their scientific homework and Terri did her homework and what was going on, they were like, we're in. For the price of a cup of coffee a day, let's go. So now it's been 16 months. I've personally sponsored about 190 people, and because I cannot keep my mouth shut. But I want you to hear from several. I have 4 SPDs or 3 other SPDs on the line with us, and we're first going to hear from Mark Delgado. Mark, good morning.
Well, good morning. Hello.
How
So
are
great to be here
you?
this morning. I'm doing fabulous.
Yeah, I would love to hear your story. So Mark is going to share a little bit about how he was introduced to the technology and why he decided to say yes to share it, how him and his wife work together. So Mark, take a few minutes and share your story and advise and assist the team to understand just a variety of things. And also any pro tips. We'd love to hear any pro tips you have that you learned along the way. Because everybody, the one thing that we know, the fastest pace from point A to point B is somebody else's experience. So Mark, please gift them all.
Well, it's great to be here now. I will preface this is that everybody's journey is different. We have a system in place, but we all have different backgrounds. We all have, in my background, I'm a traditional business owner. So I may look at things different than someone who's not a business owner. So we were introduced to this by a good friend of ours who we trusted, Danny and Diane McDaniel. And when he reached out to, it was just a text, just sent a text, said, I have something huge. And then we got on a call. I listened to it. And my trust for Danny and Diane, I didn't even know what it was. I just knew it worked for him. But my main concern when I was introduced was my physical part. I was supposed to have knee surgery with a torn MCL. And I figured if it worked for you, it's going to work for me. He also threw in a little kind of carrot that he was going to earn 10 times more than he ever did in his previous company. Well, I knew, he was the number one earner. He and Diane, they made over $45 million. I mean, that resonated with me, but that was not my first approach to get started. I knew it was there, but I have a roofing company and an insulation company, and my roofing company, the following year was our biggest year in about 13 years. So I was really busy with my business, but I understood that, hey, if it worked for you, I'm going to try it. It worked for me. And I didn't wait maybe 8 months, and I just maybe dabbled with it. I just shared with a couple. I didn't know what it was. I just said, hey, this might be something you might want to look into. I didn't really go into it because that was not my concern or my interest at the time. But once we started getting the results, which most people get results, I just say most people have a heart to help people. And eventually, it's just a lot of people peeling and sticking a patch on and don't get upset that they're not doing something with it. Because for us, it took about 3 months. When we started, August 23rd was, no, 26th was when we got the text and the phone call. And then we got our patches around September 6th when we started. And it was January of 2024 that Jody and I made a decision that, hey, we need to start sharing this technology. This is too good, because we had great results. The very few people that we shared it with were getting good results too. So I was like, okay, that's when Danny mentioned the opportunity through what he was going to potentially earn, it resonated with me as like, hey, we got our hands on something pretty powerful here. But I had no idea. I'm not a researcher. I had no idea how I got paid. And I just knew my background was, if I just share this and I change people's lives, I knew on the back end my family was going to get blessed financially. I mean, that's just like any business. Any type of business that you're in, I mean, if you're in sales or any type of thing and you're having communication and they buy your products or services, you expect to get paid. This is no different. So I knew the more people we just shared with, and I just incorporated in my daily activity. I wasn't all in until about May of 2020, 2024. We just part-timed it. And through that part-time, we generated a pretty significant income. And it was May that we really made the decision that, hey, we're doing this. We're jumping all in and we're going to make this work, because it was just too good. And in May of last year of 2024 is when we decided that, hey, we're jumping all in, and that's when our life changed. And Danny, just I'm pretty structured. You just give me an assignment. I mean, I don't need to look at anything. He just said, how much do you want to make by the end of the year of 2024? I told him how much we wanted to make. And he just said, okay, just go get two people on your right, two people on the left, and go get 20 and 20, and then do it again. And then he asked me, how many people are you going to talk to a day? And I said, I easily can talk to five people, 5 and 5. He goes, well, then you'll probably reach your goal. And that's all I did. So we just kept working, and it just has literally changed our life. I've been in the industry for a long time, and just really not like super successful. We were successful, but this, by all means, if Danny told me how our life was going to change and the freedom we were going to have, I mean, it has blessed my family. We've been able now to have the freedom. Even my kids notice the stress is off me now, and I'm enjoying life now. I don't have to worry about going out and making sales with my other businesses, and I'm now kind of pushing back on my other businesses because the freedom that this business has created. And we've enrolled 139 people since we started, and we have 4,967 lives that have changed in that little time frame. So if you think about it, that was, when we made the decision just to start January of 2024, we're only in our 21st month, and it's mind-blowing. And I explained it last night to a group of people. It's like, we all start at zero. I started at zero. I had no lives except my own. We just started making phone calls, and my phone calls are very simple. It's like, hey, I have something here that you might want to take a look at. It reactivates your stem cells. Would you like to take a look? And people trust me just like I trusted Danny. Some of those people will go, yes, send me information, and then I just get them into the system. Then I'll text them, recorded videos and stuff. So it's not me being the one to the answer. I'll get them on a three-way call and get them into the process where they are. We had so many users, but then all those users turned into shares and life changers. And for the first basically 11 months, we had no direct salespeople on our team. They were just average folks. And through that's, and it just kept growing and growing. So it's like, if you can just picture yourself on the top of a mountain, I love skiing, and you start with a little snowball, you pack that snowball, and then you physically have to roll that snowball down that mountain a little bit, but eventually it gets bigger and bigger, and eventually it's going to go where it just goes on its own. And that's kind of how our business has grown. So my advice to you is just have a lot of conversations, have a heart to help people, change your mindset that we're blessing people, that you're not bothering people. They're not thinking, why are you calling me? When you get it in your head that you're obsessed, you're either going to do LifeWave or LifeWave's going to be in you. And when LifeWave gets in you, you become obsessed to change people's lives. And when you change people's lives, your life is going to be changed dramatically.
Mark, thank you so much. That was such good information. Guys, did you catch that? That they got patched up and it took them a while to consider oversharing it. I mean, they were sharing it with a few people. And that's what I'd like you to think about, because you might be one of those people who was patched up 3 or 4 months ago and you haven't yet launched a big business to their size that they've got. Or you might have people on your team who you think, oh, they didn't go immediately, then they're not going to. They might, So David and I did launch right away. That was one of the, well, I guess right away, 3 weeks in. But not everybody is that way. Now, Mark, would you be willing to share? You don't need to share exactly, but when you said two things, when you shared with Danny what your first income goal was, and then also now, 21 months later, would you be willing to share a little bit of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So to put it in perspective, we just started gradually. And again, I was focused on my traditional businesses all of 2024, working this part-time. And, so that part-time for the first 5 months, we reached about 78. It was a little between 78 and 8,000 a month. And I still didn't know how I got paid. It was June by the time I started looking to say, well, how does this all work? Because I just knew it worked. And so when Danny asked me in May, we went to an event, and probably the big shift for us, I'll tell you another tip for you, is when you take ownership of your business. That's when we took ownership of our business, was May of 2024. We dabbled in it for the first 5 months. When we took ownership in May and just really focused, and then Jody teamed up with me as a couple, where she was supportive of me for the first 5 months. And then we both came together in May of last year. And I think as a couple, she has skill sets that I don't have, more the back office type stuff, which I'm not interested in really. I like talking to people. And so we worked very well together. And that was a major shift in our business. But when we took ownership and just, we didn't rely on other people to build the business below us. We dug in there and just started talking to people, getting in houses and doing Zooms on our own. That's when the business really started taking off. So when Danny asked how much we wanted to make by the end of the year, I mean, I didn't even know how much we were making. So I just said, I would love to be making 10,000 a month by the end of December of 2024, not knowing we were already at 78.8. So that was kind of a bogus goal, but I didn't know. And when he gave me the assignment, and I basically said, okay, I can do it. By December of 2024, we were over 20. And our last 4 weeks, to be exact, it was $43,669.59. So it has radically changed our lives. I mean, the freedom that we have, like you say, we're able to donate to causes now. Jody and I were empty nesters. We're now able to travel together, and we're up here in Pennsylvania doing home meetings and changing people's lives. And the big thing I want to get with also people is that your yes matters. When I'm in rooms of houses here in Philadelphia, there are about 45 people's lives that I looked at and I said, your lives, I'm so blessed because you would not be here if I didn't say yes. My wife and I didn't say yes 23 months ago. And because of our yes, it's like a ripple effect. You drop a rock in a little water and it ripples, and they're part of the ripple, and it just keeps on going. And I think for me, that is my why. I'm so grateful that we get to change people's lives. But the ultimate why for us now is really the freedom that I've always desired to have, but never achieved. And everything that we've done in the past has prepared us for this moment. And we've taken all our skills and the system, everything is in place for you to succeed. So there's no reason why you cannot succeed here. And just plug in and change people's lives, and your lives can be changed.
Oh, Mark, thank you so much. And I see some questions are brewing in the chat, and some of you guys are answering, but I'm going to cover a couple different things. The videos that he was talking about are in school. They're all there. One of the best pro tips that I will give is stay connected. There on Monday night and Wednesday night, there's X39 presentations with so many phenomenal testimonies. And on Friday, there is a business presentation. And I watched those for hours at the beginning so I could really understand. And when I find my favorite, then I save them on my phone. And those are the ones, because I created a copy and paste business. I did not do any presentations for 11 months. So you tapped in, rode the coattails of what Danny and Diane and This Is It team has created, and I just chose which videos were best. I would suggest that you ask your support team what they're using best right now. One of the other things that I want to say, I love, Mark, that you like totally didn't understand the business model. That's kind of the way my brain works, so I totally get it, but not everybody needs to, and you need to explain it in just in time training. Because if you try to overshare, it's going to overwhelm people. And in reality, all you want them doing is making their list and picking up the phone and getting to people. Some of you may or may not know that LifeWave is the fastest growing direct selling company in the industry, in the world, for 2 years in a row. That doesn't happen by mistake. It happens because the technology is legit and real and really assists all the people all the time. But also the business model is amazing. Do you guys realize that LifeWave pays out 60% of the sales to the field? Okay, and I want to make sure I'm clear because I had somebody misunderstand what I was saying. Out of the total commissions they pay to the field, that comes from 60% of the sales of the company. And that, by the way, that's not including incentive trips or conventions or anything like that. That is literal commissions. And it depends upon how many you're helping and how, for Mark, for you to start 139 personal people, and they told two friends, he's almost at 5,000. So those are just a few things that, so Mark, thank you for sharing all your real life experience. And I am super excited to bring on Miss Penny Carpenter, brand new elite senior presidential. And Penny, you've got such a great story. And by the way, Penny is speaking on the This Is It team Zoom in a couple hours also. So Penny, please share your experience and any advice or any support you'd love to give.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you very much. It's great to be here. And wow, Mark, like I was taking notes, trying to keep up because we can always learn, we can always learn. And Terry always learned from you. And so anyway, my journey's a lot different than Mark's. And that's what he was saying. Like it's totally different. I'm a rancher. And so I live out in the middle of nowhere in the panhandle of Texas. And my closest town has 629 people. And so I knew raising cattle, raising horses, raising kids, that was my world. And that's what I know. And anyway, my life changed and had to get rid of my cattle a few years ago. And so I needed to find something to make a living. And I tried several things, and I'd tried direct sales numerous times in the past, and I couldn't get past go. Like 10 years ago, I had a little bit of success and enough to get a few checks, but I didn't know anything about team building. I didn't know anything. I never had a team really. So when Joe Navarro called me last May and told me about the patches, I thought, well, I need them for myself, my 3 kids, and my mom. And I got the big package with no intention whatsoever of working the business. And so I had, my feet had been hurting me for years, like giving me fits for years. And so pretty quickly, like within a week or 10 days, they were getting better. And so Joe checked back in. And that's one thing I would tell y'all, check back with your people. Check back, and not just for support because you care and, to give them a little coaching about how to use this technology, but, you just never know. because like I said, I had no intention. Joe did paint a vision to me when he called. And I remembered that even though I had no intention whatsoever of working the business, Joe painted a vision. And so he checked about 2 or 3 weeks in. So I got my patches in about the middle of May last year, started patching. Right at the end of May, 1st of June, he called and checked on me and he said, how's it going? I said, oh my goodness, like I'd had tremendous results. My youngest son had had tremendous results. And these were his words. Do you want to try to get your patches paid for? It's like, sure. That is literally how I got in the business. Do you want to get your patches paid for? And I said, sure. And so my launch was a Facebook post. And he said, I'll send you the verbiage, but here's the deal, Penny, you have to take a selfie. Well, I don't take selfies. Like, Joe, buddy, that's like a deal breaker. I don't take selfies. And he said, Penny, I coached your kids. Now let me coach you. I was like, fair enough. I'm like, okay. So I took this selfie, mortified my children. They had no idea what I was. They were like, Mom, what are you doing? I said, I'm just trying to tell people about these little patches. The whole world needs to hear about this. And anyway, that they don't laugh near as hard anymore. They think it's kind of cool. But anyway, so from that post, I had a lot of responses. So I'd call Joe and I'm like, well, now what do I do? Now what do I do? And so this time, unlike the other times, I listened and I did what he told me to do. Like, I just did what he told me to do. And so I always talked too much before. I'm a researcher, so I would research things and I would know the answer. And I felt like if I knew the answer, I was obligated to tell people. And that was bad information and it didn't work. So this time I just did what Joe said. So the post piqued the interest, but you don't have to be a Facebook, you don't have to be a social media person. This translates to anything. Like if you're talking to somebody on the street, if you pick up the phone and call them, if you text them, like you have to find what works for you. And that post worked for me. And, I still I called some friends, their spouses were in the hospital or having surgery, but all of them, I got on 3-way calls. And for me, that took the heat off of me because I didn't know everything this time. I had not had time because I didn't intend to work the business. And I just peeled and stick and put the patch, was peeling and sticking and putting the patch on. And so I just listened as my support team did the work for me. And so I earned while I learned. And we just did one 3-way call after another, just one after another after another. And I think in the first month we did 21 calls and 20 people signed up. So that third party validation was so incredibly important. People may know, love, and trust you, but they will let me tell them about a little patch. And I don't know why that is, but it is. It's a thing. And so I just did that over and over. And then the next month I did it some more. And then the next month I did it some more. And at a point along the way, I took notes because everyone has a different, little different wording or something that would resonate more. So I'd jot me some notes down. I would introduce them on this 3-way call and mute my phone. And then I took notes. And so then I kind of learned what would flow with me. And so I remember the first time I called Joe, one of my team members needed someone for a 3-way call. And he said, Penny, you're going to have to do it. And I thought, oh, I got kicked out of the nest. Oh no. And so anyway, it's funny, you can fumble your way to the top. You really can in this business. And don't beat yourself up along the way because it's easy, to critique yourself. So now I'm like, well, that wasn't my best work, but maybe I'll just do better next time. And so I, give myself a pep talk. So I've sponsored in 15 months in the business, I've sponsored 98 people. There's 6,600 people under me because of my yes. And one thing that I didn't know any better. They just told me get 20 on the left and 20 on the right. And I thought, okay. And so, I did that. And there's a little bit of strategy that I think people need to not just take that literally, left, right, left, right. That's my own opinion. Some people do it differently, but I think you need to check with your upline support to let them help you understand the concept of placing people. Once you get it in it's not that hard, but once you kind of understand it, then, you can make the decisions on your own. But reach out and let your upline, support team help you. So, we have an ultimate goal of enrolling 20 people on your left and 20 people on your right. But like I said, there is some strategy to that. So, I did that, and I didn't know really about a binary. I didn't really understand a, left leg and a right leg. And one of my dearest friends, she said, well, how did you earn that much money? And I said, beats me. Like, I have no idea. I have no idea. So I did learn along the way, so as my team grew, I thought, well, I'm going to have to learn but I had no idea. And I just kept doing the business building activities, the money making activities over and over. And so that's what I would encourage each one of y'all to do. Just put your head down and go to work. And we overcomplicate things way too much. It's not that hard. It's not that hard to share with people. Terri, I'm like you. I feel like it's like knowing where the water is in the desert. I have to open my mouth and tell people. Now, what they choose to do with that is their own business. But I feel a moral and social obligation to tell people. And so, that's just, I feel like I need to tell people. And because it's life changing. When you hear the stories, and I'm sure every one of us on here have heard stories that make you cry. And you think, what if I didn't open my mouth? What if I didn't tell you that? Like that would be awful. I rarely go anywhere that people don't tell me like heart-wrenching stories that make me cry. And so that's what makes me, keep going every day. And, I wasn't like I wasn't like Mark and sat down and set a goal because I had no idea. I just kept enrolling people. Joe, at one point, he said, okay, Penny, I want to be earning X by the end of the year. That means you're going to have to be making X number of dollars. I said, okay, like, sure enough, that was our goal setting. Like, it's funny. I didn't set it. I do now, but I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know the opportunity. I'd never experienced any success in direct sales before. And so, one thing that trips a lot of people up is friends and close friends and family are often the ones that shoot us down the most. And so I remember my college roommate, like she'd reached out from a post, and we kind of played phone tag a little bit and didn't have a really good time to talk, So finally, we were visiting one day and she said, oh, my husband and I would never do that. And it hurt my heart. I mean, like I thought, oh my goodness, you came to me, and then I thought, you know what? It doesn't matter. These people that tell me no, for one thing, they don't know what they don't know. And a no now might not mean a no later, but also they're not paying my bills. And so I'm like, you know what? They're not paying my bills. So I decided, so this sounds goofy, but this is what I do when somebody tells me no. I'm like, I rebuke any spirit of rejection, condemnation, or offense in the name of Jesus. Like, I will not take it on. I will not take it on. And so, I'm a rancher and I'm a horse girl. So I was always taught, like, if you get bucked off a horse, you get back on. So then I just pick up the phone and call somebody else and pick up the phone and call somebody else. And so if, whether you're on a yes roll or a no roll, keep picking up the phone and calling people, because if you're on a yes roll, people are responding to keep doing it. And if you're on a no roll, then you're like, I'm going to keep going till somebody says yes. And so this whole business is about grit, and it's a numbers game, but we're all tougher, a lot tougher than we think we are. You know, we have a lot more in us than we think we do. And you know, you just have to make up your mind. And like we can talk ourselves into things. We can also talk ourselves out of things. Like, well, I had a rough day today. I don't really feel like picking up the phone. Well, this was kind of tough. I don't really feel like it today. Well, just do it anyway. Just do it anyway. If you'll just be consistent and be consistent and be consistent, you're going to wake up one day and think, how in the world did I get here? Because that's how I feel. How in the world did I get here? Thank you, Jesus. That's how. So,
Oh, Penny, wow. You should read that after when we go on, because your story is so great, so relatable. So thank you for being so transparent. You know, it's fascinating is, you know, I just want to, you know, make sure before you guys all leave here today that you catch some really solid things. So one, she used the tools. This is at info.com. She used the videos. Like Penny, I think you were a little like me. I didn't even know how to do a presentation. I let the presentations do the details, and then I got to their clarity of what they wanted in their life. And I was able to do that. You know, she did have a support team that did a lot of phone calls with her. We don't really do that anymore. It's not necessary. By the way, when Penny started, we didn't have school. We didn't have all those videos. So she had her support team doing all those. I do 3, maybe 4 calls with a brand partner and launch them. And then, often I'll have them record them so that they listen to them so they can learn. And then I do a recap phone call to confirm that they caught what was taught. And because this is the easiest of the transfer of skills, it's not the transfer of the skills, it's the transfer of confidence, not only of the technology, but of the business model. And so jump in. And if you're responder, meaning you're on the calls, you're engaging, you're enrolling, you're communicating with your support team is there for you. There are so many people, they're all coming, remember? You know, they're all coming. So when you're engaged and you're reaching out to your support team, they're going to be working with you. But also, for you to be able to individually run your business and do your own shares and launch people and all that, what you'll find is when you launch your first 2 to probably 8 people, that's your learning curve. And then the next learning curve is understanding the business model a little bit. And then the next learning curve is how to launch your new brand partners. So these are the things, you know, that keep going. You know, when you know, we share the details about the patches. I don't personally, I'll maybe patch somebody with IceWave, but I don't give patches to anybody until they've signed up. And I think all 3 of us on the line here, because what if they're not a one patch wonder? I've just made it not possible for them. Though if they live in my community, you know, Penny, you're 600 people in your community. But if they live in my community, after they sign up and place their order, I'll take 3 or 4 patches over to them to get them going. But prior to that, I have learned 100% of the people that I have given samples to that didn't place an order yet did not sign up. So that is my pro tip. I have learned that does not work for me. But so the main thing, Penny, thank you so much. Thank you for being transparent. And now, Rick, I'm excited to hear yours and Brittany's story and your journey and your pro tips.
Yep. Thank you, Terri. Hey, Penny, you are just a huge inspiration to all of us, especially me. But yeah, thank you so much, Terri. So a little bit of our story is, you know, I'll give you a little bit of background. We met Danny and Diane about 3 years ago, and my wife runs an international women's ministry. I was going on my 21st year in the car business at that time. And, you know, when we met Danny and Diane, we had a great connection, and I had a specific word that one day we were going to do business together, which didn't make any sense to me because I only knew Danny as a pastor and someone that did ministry. So it really made no sense to me. But fast forward about a year later after that, Danny and Diane had reached out to Britt and said, hey, they'd found something and were we interested? And I'd come home from work one day and Britt was on a Zoom with them. Little did I know it was a Zoom, but said, "Hey, Danny and Diane are on. Do you want to hear about this business?" And I said, "Absolutely not." And Britt just kind of looked at me with that mortified wife look and said, "They can hear you." I said, "Well, I already said whatever they're doing, we're in. I don't know what it is, but I'm in. Let's do this." And so we jumped in just based off of the trust that we had in them. We didn't know them from the direct sales world. We didn't know anything about them other than their heart and their heart for people. So we joined in. Britt started putting a sticker on me, and I said, "What is this?" I still didn't even know what the product was because I didn't get on that phone call. But I had great results. And it was something that was just, for me, the energy level, it had changed my world on a day-to-day basis after about 7 days. It changed my wife's world because I stopped snoring after 6 days. So when I say my wife and all the kids, everyone was super happy that it was a little quieter house at night. But what we did right away is Britt, when we sat down and she invited some of our friends to go on this journey with us, and Danny and Diane said, "Hey, you guys are managers already. That's amazing." And we had no idea what that meant. We really had no idea. So I said, "Hey, we're managers," and Britt says, "Hey, we're managers." And I said, what is this thing?" And I said, "Is this one of those businesses where we tell somebody and they tell somebody else type thing?" She goes, "Yeah, I think so." I mean, that's how green we were. See, I'd been in the car business for so long. That's all I knew, right? Britt was in the ministry world. She took care of our 4 kids. We were just living life. We didn't know anything about this type of industry whatsoever. But you know what? I still looked at it from a standpoint of I feel great. I'm going to wear that. However, this isn't what I do, right? I said to Brittany, "Hey, you know what? I'm happy. I'm glad we found this. We can touch a lot of people's lives. We want people to feel better, but really, please don't tell me too much about it. I'm going to do the car business and you just do this thing for a while." I literally said, "Don't even tell me about it. Don't wake me up unless you're making 15,000 a month." Because I said that and I never had any intention, or I didn't think that that was ever going to happen. I just kind of threw that out there. Well, at the end of month 3, Britt comes to me and says, "Hey, guess what?" Or sorry, it's the end of month 4, and says, "Made 15,000 a month." And I went, "Really?" I said, "Wow, with the sticker thing?" And that's literally what I called it. And it wasn't from any other place of just ignorance and arrogance, right? I just didn't want to hear something. I just didn't want to know about it. But if it made my wife happy, great. And you know what? I felt great wearing it. And I saw other people, and I started hearing all these other things that was happening to all our friends. But that was the path that I was deciding to take. I was doing that as a husband, saying, "This is what I do," right? So once you made 15,000 a month, I was then intrigued. And I really started looking at it and said, "You know what? This is something great." And I said, "You know what? I'm going to kind of dabble in this a little bit," but I wasn't all in, right? I was still just, "This is great. We're going to share it with people. We're making some money. I'm super proud of you." But now what I'm doing is I'm telling everyone I know, I'm like, "Talk to my wife, talk to my wife, talk to my wife, get on this Zoom." I'm just sending her people and I'm doing whatever I can. But still, I didn't really want to immerse myself. And then that's when Britt hit me with the real big one. She said, "Hey, you know what? What would it take for you to just come home, sell your share of the dealership, be done, and just come home? And we could do this together full time." And I remember looking at her like she was absolutely crazy. And husbands is sometimes you always remember those comments that come flying out of your mouth that you're gonna eat those words. But I looked at her, I said, "Hey, you do stickers, I do car business. I'm not playing like that. I'm gonna be at work and I'm gonna provide. You can keep doing that." Well, we know how the story ends, right? Obviously, I'm doing stickers. So going forward, at that point in time, Britt said, "What would it take?" And I said, "Britt, at a bare minimum, 50,000 a month is what it's going to take for me to consider leaving." Still in the back of my mind, I had that same mindset, like she got to 15 grand, but that's probably all of it. She's going to run out of steam. Now, I knew my wife, and I also knew, you know what, she probably is going to do this though. And that was the scary part to me. That was something because I only knew what I knew. You know, when we started off, we were enrolling people and we'd enrolled, you know, we became manager very fast, but we're on like person number 45 before we made it to director. And I remember we would sit there, we'd ask Danny and Diane, hey, what's it going to take for us to get to director? Are we the longest managers ever? What are we doing wrong? But we turned to them for just about everything, in-person presentations, but we didn't know what to do, moving people left, right, but we didn't focus on any of that stuff at that time. We just continue to share the X39, to share the testimonies, to work the process, to jump in there, invite people to Zooms. And that was the stuff that I was learning and still fully immersed. When Brittany hit me with that decision to say, hey, would you consider it 50,000? I realized I better pay attention pretty fast. And if I learned anything in business, I said, there must be a big opportunity here. And that's when I started diving in and I started seeing the company growth. And I started really paying attention to the people that were there. We'd gone to This Is It conference, and that's when I really caught the fire. But that was the time when I could really look at that and say, there is a huge opportunity in this industry. And, you know, we had no idea. But that's when we decided, you know what, same thing, kind of like what you were saying, Terry, is, you know, we felt like, wow, we've got to tell everybody about this because this is just amazing and they need to know. And the money is going to take care of itself. Now, at that point, that kind of became our goal, is that 50,000 a month became that goal. However, we didn't want our hearts to change. We still wanted to focus on people feeling better and people just having a great experience. And we spent a lot of time digging in together. Well, we made it to SPD in 10 months, and we'd crossed that 50,000 a month right at about it was about 10, 11 months into the business. And we really said, you know what, I'm going to stick to my word. I want to, got my exit strategy out for the dealership and started, headed to the house. And you know what, the time, my life has changed absolutely tenfold. There was so many things, and it's not till, you know, my son, we'd been somewhere and I saw him, I said, Daniel, that was so cool seeing you in that parade. And he looked at me and said, Dad, he goes, we've done that for 5 years, you've just never been there. Talk about hurting your heart, right? Because I thought, you know, I was juggling a lot of time at work and a lot of time, you know, providing for the family, but there was still a lot of things that I missed, and I didn't realize how much I missed. I thought I was doing a good job being present, but I wasn't. And then most of the time when I was present at home, I was looking at my phone, I was talking about, you know, a car deal, I was looking at a trade appraisal, I was doing whatever I could to only pay attention. But the thing is we took this business and we had no idea what we were doing. I remember asking Dad, I was like, what's an upline? What's a downline? What are these legs they keep talking about? And I had to pay attention to that kind of stuff. But you know what? One of the most important things that when Britt and I sat down and said, we're going to do this together, is one, we're going to work this as a couple. But I said, but you know what's not going to change? We're not going to get stuck on the details. We're going to learn from, you know, a Terri and David Miller, from a Danny and Diane McDaniel, from a Joe Navarro. We're going to learn as much as we can and absorb that information and not worry about where we put people. Because if we're enrolling people and we're sharing and we're helping people grow, it'll all take care of itself. You know, so we've been in this now. This is our 19th month. We've been, I've been out of the car business now for the last, going on really 9 months. Officially left the store a year ago. And like I said, it's changed our world just a complete 180. And it's for the better. There's been so much time, and, you know, the love has just been absolutely amazing. But, you know, we've enrolled 212 people, you know, and that's due to, like I said, us picking up the phone. And, you know, Brittany is a machine when it comes to telling absolutely everybody. We cannot go a single place without her telling everyone about patches. And, you know, you'll hear Danny say every once in a while, you know, she thinks everybody's a big fish and a whale and they're this. And that's just from a place of, one, she loves everybody, but two, at the beginnings, we had no idea. We didn't even know what we were looking for. We just knew that we wanted to get them patched and we wanted them to share it with everybody they knew, because we are so excited about the X39 and so excited about the product. So that's what we took from there. Our organization has just shy of 8,000 people. We're at 7,984 as of this morning. So 7,984. And our last 4 weeks was $72,480.
So love your story. Again, I think everybody loves the transparency of all of you guys, and I'm glad you decided to jump into the sticker company.
Yep.
Chris. You know, that
Glad to
is
do
so
stickers
great.
with you guys.
It is. And, so be thinking about asking yourself, can I relate personally to some of these stories? Can some people on my team? Did I have a family member that tried to say, that's not legit? It's a company, that type of company. One of the things in the world that we're in now, people absolutely need multiple streams of income. That if in my opinion, this is my opinion, and I've learned it myself. If you only have one stream of income, that's very irresponsible. And people need more than one stream of income. The direct selling world gives you freedom to watch your son at a parade, right? And there are a lot of direct selling companies out there. And like Penny said, she had tried many, and what I found for me is even though I was in the first company that I was with, I love that company, by the way. I was very fortunate to be third level to Mary Kay herself, who was just one of the most human beings ever put on this earth. Climbing the ladder of success, and I was at the top of the company. I was just leaned up against the wrong building. That mission, that company is about enriching women's lives, and it did. It taught me a lot of skill. And Penny, I bet all the other companies taught you a lot, what to do, what not to do. But this company, it is the fastest growing direct selling company, and it is so you may have tried some, you just hadn't tried the right one yet. So before we finish up here, I would love to ask, and Mark, I'll start with you, if there's any last minute pro tips you'd love to give anybody on the line. I know so much wisdom was given between the three of you guys.
I would say a pro tip to everyone here is that we are no different than you. We all start at the same point. People, don't ever compare yourself to anybody. I mean, everyone has different skill sets. Everyone has different a community of people that know and trust them. So just don't compare, because that turns into despair, because you're comparing people. Well, they're at this level, or they did this so fast. Well, you don't know their background. You don't know Penny struggled for years, in the industry. We've been in the industry a long time and never really successful. And but I was very successful in traditional businesses. So we all have a starting point, and just dive into the system. Don't get caught up in the weeds of all trying to figure everything out. I mean, all I knew was Danny gave me an assignment. I did the assignment, and it worked, kind of like Penny. All we do is enroll people. You change people's lives, and our goals are how many lives we're going to change. We do have a financial side now, but we never really did. That's not something we focus on. We focus on the lives. And if your heart is to focus on helping people, we don't guarantee anything. The income you heard here, we don't guarantee any income to anybody, but it was just, we talked to a lot of people. And the more people you talk to, conversations that you talk to, there's some point in time you will win, and you may get your patches for free. Like Penny, that's how she wanted to start. And a lot of people, that's how I direct a conversation to a lot of people, because they just want to just try it. And then it just goes, hey, how would you like to get your patches for free? And then that people like free. And so that's how we get a lot of people started is, hey, just like Penny did, let's get your stuff for free. Who do you know and love that we can talk to and share this amazing technology with and get them peeling and sticking? So that's what I would tell people. Just, put down there, don't be afraid of your phone. And the last thing is that don't be I had a conversation last night at a home meeting, and this was something that I learned is that, don't have your friends sign up with somebody else, and then they realize that you were already in this business and you did not call your friend, because your friend is looking at it like, wow, I thought we were friends, and you had something life-changing like this, and you never called me. And that resonated with the lady the other night. It's just like, and then she goes, yeah, that would hurt my feelings if I knew one of my friends had this amazing technology and never called me and shared it with me, and I signed up under somebody else. Because as Terri said, they're all coming. So better to come with you and better to call your friends, because I don't want any of my friends to come back and say, hey, why did you not call me with this? Because this has changed my life, and I would have signed up like that if you would have called me. So
That's
that would be my
exactly right. Oh, so good, Mark. And that's exactly right. Is that's actually one of the thoughts that why I got 9 people started right away, is like, they're going to be a little upset with me. If I have, by the way, my husband calls these his little Benjamin buttons, little reverse aging. And I thought, if I have an answer like this and we're all moving forward in our life and aging, if I don't tell them, that's not nice. And that's kind of what I would guide you to. One of the other things that if you've caught for all 3 of these people, even though they had no intention of building a business, the person that shared it with them shared the full offer. So it's not just the technology. It is the full offer. And so use the tools, use your support team, really get the confidence down. And you know what? You guys have all heard this a million times. You can say all the right things to the wrong people when they're not ready yet, or you can say all the wrong things to the right person and they'll sign up. I have 2 strong lines of business that they signed up on their own. I had a brief conversation with them because they know and trust me, and they did a smidge of homework. They signed up on their own, and they're 2 very strong lines of business. So that's really the main thing, is share the full offer. Okay, Penny, just a quick minute about a last pro tip, and then Rick's last pro tip.
Perfect. And I forgot to say a while ago, Terri, the last 4 weeks for 36,947.22 is what I made. I forgot to tell that. But pro tip, a lot of what you said, use the tools. One thing, don't prejudge people. You can't prejudge and know the people you think will work the business won't, the people you think won't will. Don't prejudge. You've got to give them the technology and the business opportunity. If they don't need the business opportunity now, maybe down the line something changes, like you just don't know. And so people need to stay close to the fire, plug in, listen to the videos, like you pick up new stories, like become a good storyteller. Perfect your storytelling, perfect your own, like make it quick, learn to highlight. Joe Navarro is a pro at teaching us to package our stories and to make them, concise and get to the point. But learn other people's stories and be able to rattle them off, because stories sell. Facts tell and stories sell. You've got to be able to do that. But if you'll listen to the Zooms, listen to the recordings, you only have to be right one time in this business. And LifeWave is the right one to be right about. It really is. And so, but once you get deep down in your soul what this does for people, then it changes the way you talk to people. It changes everything. And so that would be what I'd say.
So true, Penny. And one of the pro tips that Penny just really elaborated on, I'll underscore, is learn stories, but also learn to listen to what stories people need to hear. And another pro tip that I would give is talk less and listen more. When you reach out to people, like when I reached out to those 9 people, literally, all the trainings you'll hear is talk less than 2 minutes. I think I almost talk less than 20 seconds. I literally hey, I've heard about some amazing technology. I do not know how to explain it. You know me, I'm not that scientific or detailed, but I know it works. I've done my homework. I know you wouldn't be happy if I didn't share this with you. Would you be open? Would you be open to learn? And then I shot them over some information and then got on a call. So that is you don't need to say too much. So, okay, Rick, your 1 minute, last minute pro tips, and then we'll secure this up.
All righty. So one of the most important thing that you know that I can see, especially for ourselves, it's you know what, absorb as much as you can from the people that are doing well. Lean into the system that's already been put in place, and don't get stuck in the weeds. We run into a lot of people that are always stuck on, well, how do I build this? What about this aspect of the business? And they're minor details, right? If you can lean into the system, but if you're opening your mouth, if you're following your heart, if you understand that we have a patented technology that is changing people's lives, if you understand that everyone's got stem cells, everyone's aging, the market is wide open, there's not a single person that doesn't need this, right? And you have to have that mindset is we have something that they need. So walk with confidence, walk with the fact that you're part of the fastest growing company for the last 2 years. Walk with confidence in absolutely everything you're doing. Introduce us to absolutely everybody. Have your heart right from the get-go, but don't be discouraged when someone says no. It's okay. You know what? Because it's not no, it's no, not right now. And maybe you just drip on them, but you know what? As long as you're doing that and you're sharing the X39, you're sharing the power of the patch, and you're doing it from a place of love, the rest will take care of itself. You'll get with your upline, you'll get with somebody that knows exactly where to place the people. That's something that, you know, Danny and Diane did a great job with us and in helping us. All we have to do is just go out there and share. And that's the meat and potatoes is share, 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 share. You have what they need. Don't think otherwise. You've got it. You already know what to do. Go get it.
Absolutely. That is so good. And the, to kind of tie a pretty bow around this, again, this was a very unique Saturday training. There are some phenomenal Saturday detailed specific trainings in school, and I'm actually going to show school screen one more time. But these recordings are up usually within 45 minutes to an hour and a half after, so you can have access to them. So one, schedule the ask your support team a lot of these questions. They have it. And little pro tip to the support team, I don't answer all their I don't give them questions. I guide them. When someone says, where's the what is the best training, the detailed training? I say it's in school under brand partner training, and this is where you can get it. Sure. Could I copy and paste it into the thread? Yeah, but then I'm never going to teach them anything. And so let them learn where everything's at. So I'm just going to share real quick again. So in school, it's all here. Danny and Diane have done a marvelous job. By the way, I know they're on today. I bet their hearts are just blowing up with for them saying yes and the skills that they have transferred. Brand basic training, this will be there in probably the next hour. There's some details about the comp plan, all the X39 presentations, the business presentations, the women's presentations, the details of the incentive trip, any forms or anything. It's all there. They have created a phenomenal aspect for you. So excited. Let's go assist Minnie. Let's not worry about the people who are not coming yet, because what we do is we get in our head and we waste time for people who are not open and curious yet, while there's a lot of people praying and hoping and wishing that you will reach out to them. So guys, thank you so much for being fully transparent and assisting and sharing all the pro tips that you've learned. Guys, have a great Saturday. Bye-bye.